Hi, I'm here today at Norwich Cathedral with Rob Whitworth, an established time-lapse photographer. You may know him from his flow motion video of Dubai or his stuff that he's done with Planet Earth. And we're here today just to have a little interview and find out a bit about Rob. So obviously your work is so unique because not only because of the method that you use, but because of the flow motion one-shot feel of your videos. What attracted you to that? Was there something in particular?
It's hard to pinpoint it exactly. I think one way of explaining it is when I love rooftops. I mean, my go-to environment is being on a rooftop in like a big Asian city. It's sort of like finding the go-to shot of cities. But basically, you're standing on this big rooftop, and there's this incredible view in front of you. And it's, when you're there in person, what you do is you look around at the whole scene, take it in, but then your eye gets drawn to details. Yes. Like I don't know, like a car or somebody walking along, or all the stories unfolding below. So it's just like, how do I bring that into camera? How can the camera communicate this? So that was the start. Is we start with this wide shot. And then we zero in, we zoom in a possible fashion and follow a little detail on the ground, like somebody going to work. And then I guess it kind of morphed from there to, well, why stop at that? Why not script it? Why not have the person on the ground to be a talent that you're controlling? Then you can join them on the ground and you can see where they go. And I think that was probably part of the evolution, to continue that journey. Then we follow them on the ground and we follow them going to a coffee shop and along the way, it's also about the impossibility of it. The camera moves as well.
Yes.
So you can have a lot of fun in, doing that transition. Starting for a wide shot on a building to join a tracking shot. That's like a transition from, maybe a double or a fisheye shot to a, 500mm shot or something. So I like the technical side of the impossibility there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the funnest bits about editing is when you do something like that and you create something that, to an untrained eye, they might not really understand that you've cut there, and it's that kind of trickery. It's like there's a lot of fun in that, isn't there?
Yeah, and just it's that sort of freedom of doing what literally with the technology as it currently is, like the amazing equipment and tools we have available, you can do things that have never been done before. Like obviously there's Hollywood that sort of has its own standards, it sort of sets its own thing, but. Yeah, the amount of I've got a laptop and a couple of cameras is how I started out, and you can create these sort of never before seen things just by being creative and playing around, and that's fun. That's empowering.
Yeah. So, if you had any advice to give anybody that was young and starting out and wanted to break into the photo or the video world, what would you tell them?
I mean, the flippant thing I say here is make a viral video. I think it is about, finding your own style, making your work stand out, finding pursuing something that you are very passionate about and sticking at it and making it unique and becoming the best at it. I think that's a route into an industry. And then if you do find something, visually distinctive, then there will be an audience there. I mean, the flip side of it is, now we have the ability to get millions of people looking at and enjoying and appreciating our work. And that wasn't possible 10, 15 years ago. So that's tremendously powerful. But I mean, I've been doing, it's now like, what have I been doing time-lapse for 15, 20 years? I haven't done the maths there. And I don't know what worked for me 10 years ago, I'm not sure is directly applicable, but the bottom line is if you're good and you find something that people like, then, obviously, clearly there's an amazing career and life pursuing that, so.
Interesting. So, out of your body of work and all of the videos that you've created, what is your favorite moment? Whether that's on set, or just a particular shot that you got in a video or something that happened, what's the bit that really stands out?
I mean, I've worked on some really cool projects, so it's hard to, and I think as a career progresses, you just have like amazing moments that you don't think ever will be topped, and then you get to do something else cooler later on. But I mean, some go-to ones, I mean, David Attenborough, it's pretty amazing. I did the World Cup intro sequence last year, so that means a high percentage of people in this country have unwittingly seen my work. Like if I'm in a taxi, there's a likelihood the taxi drivers.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which is kind of weird.
That's crazy.
And I say to them, do you remember the World Cup sequence? And no. I'm like, do you remember, and then they say, oh yeah, I remember that. So it's not like, they were like, yeah, that's amazing. But it's still kind of cool, to have that sort of.
Really cool.
And then, there was a shot in Dubai where I got the Dubai fog, which now has been kind of done to death by everyone, but that was like, when you actually film it, and I wanted it obviously for the video, and I got that shot, that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just lots of amazing moments. And generally, like in a project, you set, you storyboard, and you come up with these things you want to get, and you can see the existing shots from different locations, and sort of know what you're aiming for, and whenever you meet or exceed those expectations, it's always a cool moment.
Yeah.
It sort of like keeps you wanting to do it some more.
So then, if that's your favorite moment from your own body of work, what would be your favorite moment or short or something that really inspired you from something that somebody else has done?
So the very initial thing, there was a guy named Keith Loughton, who still does incredible work. He does incredible work. He's doing stuff in Singapore at the moment. He's doing the best construction time lapses I've seen anyone do. But back in 2007, 2008, he was doing tilt shift. Shallow depth of field shots, and he did a series called Bathtub, shot in and around Sydney. And basically, it's just a really cool video. This makes it look like Toy Town, very, like here's a little model set, and it's done really well. And there's a helicopter rescue in this video, and the video's on Vimeo, and I think it got like 1 million plays. And this was like about that time where I was sort of launching into time-lapse, and it sort of became just like, this is what I want to do. I want to make a video, and I want, to get that sort of number 1 million. 1 million used to be a lot.
It still is.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, in like a Gangnam Style, it doesn't seem quite so impressive. But if you think about it, it's ridiculous.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's more, the size of that audience is unimaginable. It's not like they're all real people, but even like a percentage of a percentage, it's still a lot of very significant people, and it's a great thing for your portfolio and to have your work in front of influential people. So I watched his video, and that then said, first of all, it was great, and secondly, this is something I want to kind of really kind of maximize and do the best I can at.
So for anybody that doesn't have that much knowledge of hyperlapse, or has maybe shot a few or not shot any at all, do you have any advice or just anything that you would like to express to those people to help them out in their journey?
Yeah, it's tremendously boring. Shooting a hyperlapse is. The traditional way of doing hyperlapse is you've got your camera maybe on a tripod, but not necessarily, and you take a picture and you move at a distance, 1 foot, 2 foot, take another picture, line up the same thing, and repeat and repeat and repeat. Yeah. So like 120 times, 240 times, till your hands freeze. Until you lose the will to live. Yep. And then you go into post-production and you then line the shots up even more. There's a couple of ways of doing it. But warp stabilizer is a good kind of go-to one in After Effects or Premiere. Yeah. And that's a way of shooting hyperlapse, and the shots are amazing, that you can achieve with that. But the technology is moving on as well. You can do hyperlapses with gimbals. You can do them with your smartphone. There's all different ways of doing it, and essentially what you're achieving is parallax, and you're replicating a dolly move as if the camera's moving on a track. So it's worth remembering what the actual technique is. But within that, lots of clients come to me and say, we want a hyperlapse movie, because it's just become this sort of panacea of sort of creative, slightly fast-moving filmmaking, that there's some people brainstorming around a committee somewhere about how to push their brand forwards, and it's like somebody says, hyperlapse. Yeah. And then you do hyperlapse. So it's got its own meanings, but
So with what you do, taking so much planning, such a long time to then actually shoot, and then so much post-production work, what's that nightmare moment that's happened to you on set, or something really difficult or frustrating that you've then had to get past or not been able to do so?
I'm lucky. I think everything's always gone perfectly. So actually, what's one thing that is slightly unique about what I do is, I do the shooting and the post-production, or even if I've got a camera operator, I'm there overseeing, what's being shot. So in the conventional kind of approach, you would do the filming, and then you'd hand the card over to somebody else to do the post-production, and then you kind of have to cover your bases. So that's a long-winded way of saying when I've screwed something up, I've then had to be the one that fixes it in post, but equally I've done so. And that's actually kind of liberating in a way, because I know the actually bare minimum I need to get. And then likewise, the more I shoot, what I'm going for, but I know if something happens, the sun goes, we get kicked out of a location, get hit by a falling piano, I know I've got enough, or not.
Yeah.
And truth be told, you can often get by with a tiny amount of footage where you've needed to. Mm-hmm. But as far as things going wrong, nothing headline. I don't think I've ever really screwed anything spectacular up. I think I've been caught out by autofocus once or twice, which is the time-lapse nightmare. You set up a camera in a building and then the focus is slightly hunting.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about that.
No.
So that sucks. But luckily, not on an imperative kind of shoot has that happened. I filmed animals. Animals have run away. That's a bad one.
Well, that must be tough trying to do a hyperlapse of animals.
Well, I've filmed any number of animals, but one of them was a koala in Sydney. Mm-hmm. And it turns out this was back in the day where I was using I can't remember, like a D800 or something, and it was like going full beams, like firing 5 frames a second, but it sounded like a machine gun. There are times like koalas don't like.
No, machine guns.
Being approached by a guy with a machine gun. So and then they're very, this was in Taronga Zoo in Sydney, so they didn't dare move the koalas. This was the start of the shoot. I got one take, and the koala climbed up this tree, and then they refused to move it. And it was the end of that shot. So yeah. So
obviously you made this stunning flow motion video of Norwich Cathedral. How did you go about approaching that project? What attracted you to it in the first place? And just how did that happen? It's quite a cliche thing, but often you don't see the places you live in. There's a funny thing, like going to locations and shooting is, like I made a video in Singapore, and I actually lived in Singapore for a year. But actually going there and shooting the video, I saw a lot more of Singapore, like going to the main attractions and things, just because, you have to, because otherwise life sort of gets in the way. So I'd been living abroad for a while and moved back to Norwich, and it just seemed like a great opportunity. The cathedral had approached about making a film in Norwich, and it was sort of like an amazing thing to do, but it's like, will time allow it? So it just sort of the stars aligned, and it was a moment to do that project seemed perfect, and it was great, getting to go to sort of the cathedral itself. There's all these amazing it's a 1,000-year-old building. There's all these amazing kind of views and vantage points you wouldn't necessarily normally get to. And I get to approach a city I know very well, and I studied here, but from the perspective of making a video, it was really fun as well, because it sort of made me see it differently and kind of come analytical.
What's that?
Was it any more analytical in your process when you were thinking about the city?
I don't know. I think I kind of tried to come at it as if I was doing a project.
Yeah.
So I didn't sort of bring any kind of depth from my time living here. I kind of wanted to, sort of treat it as almost a commercial project, as it were, to find the best locations and sort of,
So have you got any future projects on the table that interest you, or you're going to get started with anytime soon?
All of the above. I mean, one ongoing project is I've been going to Greenland, project for Air Greenland, which is just the most amazing place, most beguiling place I've ever been to. I was there in summer last year in August doing some shooting, and I'll be going back there in March next year for kind of the winter, Northern Lights, husky sled dogs, shooting, and that place is just absolutely amazing. So I was filming glaciers where I set up and left some cameras. And that's actually what I'm working on at the moment is I got some shots of carving, which is when huge bits of ice fall off glaciers. And it's just mind-boggling. I've got a shot where basically it's like the Shard and a few other buildings in London collapsing, like the scale of this thing. Mm-hmm. So that's a really fun one. And that was really how to capture those shots was sort of really, then I had to kind of think about what cameras I could bring and what was possible. And that's just an incredible project. But now I've got another project coming up in United Arab Emirates for Sharjah, a tourism video, which is cool. I've just finished a project in Italy. Italy's in Tuscany. I think it's cool. Went there with my family and filmed a video for them, which I hope will be launched pretty soon. It's tough, horrible commissions, but it's been good.
Thank you for chatting with us, Rob. That was a really, really interesting interview. If you guys want to have a look and check out any more of Rob's work. We'll put a link to it in the description of this video. Also, if you want to find out anything more from Wex, you can head on to our social pages, our website, or put a comment in the video below, and we'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching.